Hello and welcome back to the UCLA Bruins Insider Podcast. I'm your host, Andrew Ferguson, writer for UCLA on SI. Today we're going to be walking through UCLA's huge 88-84 win over Michigan State, kind of what happened throughout this game, looking at player performances, and kind of the main takeaways from this game, both positive and negative. But before we get started, I want to thank everyone right now who is listening. Apple Music, Spotify, or even YouTube, it all means a lot to me, and I simply cannot thank you enough. But without further ado, let's get right into it. No one really expected UCLA to win this game. I think that kind of goes without being said. UCLA was a 5.5 point underdog. Not a lot of factors going into their favor. UCLA is a home team, meaning they have been great at Pauley. That's where they've gotten 3 of their top 10 wins. Illinois, Purdue, and then Nebraska. Now playing on a neutral site against a team who beat them by 20 plus points. Not many people thought UCLA would get it done, but they did it in a dominant fashion. And what I mean by that is UCLA really did not fall behind much in this game. They controlled the tempo. When Michigan State would come back a little bit, they would also be able to score the go-ahead points to stretch out the lead. There was only 2 lead changes in this game. UCLA led for 33.21 seconds, or 33 minutes and 21 seconds. Excuse me, that was terrible. But yeah, just like that shows that UCLA has what it takes. I mean, Tyler Bilodeau went down with an injury. I don't know the status on that, but it did look like he was holding his knee following that play. And I thought UCLA was able to come back and adapt to it well. And that shows a team who can make a deep push when they can still be, a top 10 team without their best player. UCLA is moving on to the semifinals against Purdue. Obviously, Bilodeau had a huge role in that win earlier this season. So it'll be interesting to see how UCLA kind of attacks this. Obviously, a terrible loss for UCLA. But yeah, so I'm going to kind of go over like my main takeaway from this game. I just kind of teased it about the Tyler Bilodeau stuff. And this is not meant to disrespect Tyler Bilodeau at all. He's UCLA's best player, head and shoulders above each player, I think, on the Bruins. It might be a little close with him and Donovan Dent as of late, but still, I firmly believe Bilodeau is UCLA's best player. But, getting injured and then seeing the performance UCLA was able to accomplish without him kind of raises some questions that UCLA might be better off without him. And it's kind of evident in kind of what we've seen. Sky Clark, 15 points, 6 of 11. Donovan Dent, 23 points. Trent Perry, 22 points. There's a lot of factors that kind of go into the team, playing well after their best player gets injured. And I think in this case, it motivated. It was that, that next step, that stepping stone that had UCLA, have an emotional game to really fight for Tyler Bilodeau and get the job done. That could be the case, or UCLA just looks better. I mean, when those 3 options are, set in stone and those 3 players are going to be able to score, it makes the offense feel a lot easier, right? You don't have to look for Tyler Bilodeau. A lot of the things UCLA was running allowed Sky Clark to get a wide open corner 3. Same thing with Perry. Dent was able to crash the paint as well. Does Tyler Bilodeau kind of mess up that dynamic? I believe he kind of does. And that, again, not a jab at Tyler Bilodeau. He's great when he's on the court. UCLA is obviously going to play differently, but I thought how UCLA played differently kind of points that they are a better team without him. I want Tyler Bilodeau back. I do think UCLA is good, but I don't know how long this 3-guard masterclass is going to last. If this is going to last into Purdue, if Bilodeau misses that game, I mean, it's a 1-game turnaround. It's not like he has a week to heal, get ready. It's tomorrow they're going to be tipping off. So we're probably not going to see Bilodeau, but I think that, again, I mentioned, that added motivation to fight for your best player while he can't play is something to kind of keep an eye on, and I think UCLA will do that well. The next observation I want to talk about is I thought Brandon Williams played well. Obviously, Tyler Bilodeau was out. These all kind of fall into line with that injury. But when you kind of look at what Brandon Williams was able to do with the 19 minutes he played because of that injury, questions start rising, right? He had 9 points, 3 of 4 from the field, 4 rebounds as well. Great game from Brandon Williams. He hit shots at clutch times. I think there was less than a minute left. And obviously Michigan's going to be bringing up that full court press. Brandon Williams was able to break free, get past Carson Cooper, who I don't like, by the way. I think he is the villain. He's probably a great guy, but I can't stand him on a basketball court. But, Brandon Williams was able to, blow by him, score an easy layup to push out the Bruins to 4, I believe, or somewhere around that, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, it was at the 25-second mark. Brandon Williams scored that layup to put up UCLA 84-80. And that ultimately sealed the game for UCLA. That was, the dagger the Bruins needed. It's hard to score 4 points in 25 seconds, especially with fouls, stuff like that going on. And I thought he just, he rose to the moment and can be a player who I see UCLA rely on a lot more. I thought that player would be Xavier Booker. I thought this was, his revenge game, coming back. Obviously this was his team before UCLA. So I thought he was going to have a better game. Not really. He had 14 minutes. He had 5 personal fouls, missed both of his 3-pointers, and that was his night. So a big loss for UCLA. But again, I thought Brandon Williams just rose to the occasion a lot higher than anyone else did. Eric Freeney had a decent game as well, or Eric Freeney. I've been mispronouncing that name, so I'm sorry about that. But yeah, Freeney played well. 3 rebounds, 1 assist. 12 minutes. I really love his defense. I mean, it doesn't show up in the box score, obviously, but, his ability to kind of keep Jeremy Fears at check. There was also a lot of other players who he was on throughout the game. I thought, Freeney was able to be that pesky defender, that guy who you're not really expecting to lock you down. And I thought that's exactly what, Eric Freeney was able to accomplish against Michigan State. And this eventually just led to the win overall for UCLA. And you just love to see it. The next observation I had was Sky Clark. I think we all knew that, again, kind of breaking down from the Tyler Bilodeau injury, that Sky Clark would need to play some of his best basketball of the game, and I thought he did for the most part. Obviously, 15 points is not, a number you can look at and be like, wow, but still, I thought, Sky Clark played excellent in this game. He hit the shots that he needed to hit, and it ultimately allowed UCLA to take the win. Just a great game from Sky Clark. I mean, when he's hot, like I said, UCLA's offense gets so much more dynamic. And, that's even with or without Tyler Bilodeau. I know this kind of coincides with the first one when I talked about how well UCLA's guards are playing, but I think Sky Clark is that difference maker for UCLA when he is hot. We saw him, again, make the big shots, provide consistent points for UCLA. That led them to the win. What I liked about him is that he's able to, sit in the corner, that spot up shooter kind of look. I think that is, Sky Clark's game. I think prior to this, I don't think he was really going for those kinds of shots. It was more him off the dribble, then kind of throwing it. Now it's just a spot up shooter. We saw Eric Daly drive to the rim, pass it out to Clark, and he would make the shot. That's what we saw a lot. Donovan Dent was also assisting with that, that notion as well. So that's what I really like to see from Sky Clark. Again, I'm not sure where Tyler Bilodeau is going to be, if he's going to even make the NCAA tournament. It's unlikely he plays against Purdue, but if he does, again, that's where Sky Clark needs to kind of be the same exact player, because when he kind of, takes the night off, is not having the best shooting night, UCLA gets in a lot of trouble, and that is something that the Bruins have to avoid at all costs. But overall, not a bad game from Sky Clark. And yeah, so kind of right now, to kind of wrap up everything, I want to kind of breeze past all of UCLA's, performances, players who I thought played well, players who could use a little bit more work. I already talked about, Sky Clark, so I'm not going to go over him. I thought he had a great game overall. But starting off first is going to be Trent Perry. 22 points, 6 of 10 from the field, 4 of 8, 50% from the three-point line, 6 of 6 from the free throw line. Was pretty much the hero in the later part of, the fourth quarter. 0 rebounds, 3 assists. Excellent game from Trent Perry. I thought this was the bounce back game he needed. He didn't have the best game, against Rutgers, but I thought he came out here. He was that efficient shooter. He didn't look like, a player who, gradually made his way to the roster because, of, lineup and, fitting the offense better. He looked like a real impactful player, a real significant player, a top UCLA Bruin in this game. He is, the heart of this team when he is hot. Michigan State had no answer for him all night long. And as we know, Michigan State is number 8 for a reason. So they have played, talent similar to UCLA, if not better, and done better against them. But Trent Perry had played amazing. He set the pace fast. I believe his first half was also amazing. He had 10 points in the first half. Second half, he had 12. But just kind of, we've seen a lot of how UCLA's players have played this season when they have, these 20 plus point games, right? It's like 18 points in the first half, 4 in the second half, or vice versa. There's not a lot of consistency in UCLA scoring. That was not the case tonight for especially Trent Perry. And I thought he played well. I would like to see a little bit more rebounding. I think UCLA's guards have done better at rebounding as of late. And that's something that I wanted to see Trent Perry accomplish this, but he didn't. But still, his scoring was just simply amazing. Next up, Donovan Dent, 23 points, 8 for 18, 3 of 5 from the 3-point line, 4 of 5 from the free throw line, 6 rebounds, and 12 assists. Another Donovan Dent masterclass. You can't ask for a game better than this. His last game, first triple-double in Big Ten tournament history was great, but it didn't have that scoring, that oomph factor to his scoring. He had it in this game, and I thought he played incredible. At times, I had to go do something while I was watching the game, and all I could hear is Donovan Dent. Another point for Donovan Dent. Another point for Donovan. It was amazing. Even to have that impact when I'm not even watching the game, knows you're having a great game. I loved how Donovan Dent played. His aggressiveness is second to none, and I thought he showcased that almost perfectly in this one. 8 for 18, not the best. I would like to see a little bit more, efficiency from him, but still, you can't complain. He made it up with 4 of 5 from the free throw line. And again, his three-point shooting continues to develop. I think we're reaching kind of the max of how good Donovan Dent can, shoot the ball from beyond the arc. And I think, that is something that's going to help UCLA ultimately in the future. And I love to see it from Donovan Dent. He is going to be a massive piece, especially if Tyler Bilodeau is unable to return soon. Eric Daly Jr., another amazing game, a double-double, 2 double-doubles from the Bruins, Dent and then Eric Daly Jr. Daly Jr. had 14 points, shot 5 of 7 from the field, 2 of 3 from the field goal, from the 3-point line, 2 of 4 from the free throw line, 10 rebounds, 3 assists. He also had 3 turnovers, so that kind of knocks his grade down a little bit. I still thought he played a great game. We needed to see him get, that 10-plus rebound mark. I wanted him to get at least 7-plus in this game. I thought if he was able to accomplish that, UCLA would be in good shape. But without Tyler Bilodeau, Eric Daly Jr. really stepped up in the paint. UCLA didn't have the best rebounding night. They had 26 rebounds to Michigan State's 34. And obviously, Daly Jr. was able to, soften the blow of losing, the team's best rebounder in Tyler Bilodeau. Great game from Daly Jr. I just want to see this more consistently. A double-double is, all you could ask for a player like Daly. Entering the season, he was among one of the best small forwards in the nation. He's kind of, dipped down from that, but now I think we're starting to see what he is truly capable of, and he did that in a massive way tonight. Up next, I already talked about Sky Clark, but kind of looking at the bench, obviously Brandon Williams had a great game. I really wish we could see more Steven Jamerson. I think he's a great piece for UCLA. He played 2 minutes, and that came after Booker was fouled out. But overall, great game from UCLA's bench. I thought they provided, the impact that you can't really see on the box score, and that's what you really want from your bench. To go in there, be scrappy, limit the other team's offense, and I thought that was accomplished in this one. I'm kind of going over, overall statistics. I thought UCLA's, shooting as a team was amazing. They shot 57 or 56% from the field to Michigan State's 45. This is a huge uptick following the Rutgers game where UCLA only shot, 38% from the field. Great turnaround from the Bruins, and we need to see this against Purdue. It's going to be a great matchup. UCLA also shot 48% from the 3-point line. Again, that is something that winning basketball teams do. UCLA also forced 12 Michigan State turnovers. UCLA had 8 themselves. I want to see more, UCLA taking advantage of more opportunities. They only had 10 points off of those 12 turnovers. You don't like to see the points, being lower than the actual turnover amount. And what I mean by that is I'd rather see, 15 points off turnovers, even 16. And I mean, if you can, live with those opportunities, I think UCLA will be golden and will be able to, maybe even run the table in the tournament. But again, far from perfect, but they still had a great game, great step in the right direction. Um, but yeah, that's all I can really say. I would say something about second chance points, 6. UCLA had 6 compared to Michigan State's 23. That's a little bothersome, obviously, but still, without Bilodeau, the impact in the paint isn't there. Excuse me. Um, but yeah, overall, great game from UCLA. I love to see it. And yeah, so that's all I really have today. I hope you guys enjoyed this podcast. I'm your host, Andrew Ferguson. And as always, 4's up and have a good day.